Hey guys, so today we are continuing the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Chapter 9, The Engineer's Thumb, Part 2. So, in Part 1 we stopped till here, so let's continue. After swearing me to secrecy, he told me that he needed me to look at an old hydraulic press that had gone out of commission and wanted me to go to Ayford in Berkshire. A train from Paddington Station would take me there. He told me he would pick me up in a carriage as the destination was about 7 miles from the station. My parents told us that his client needed secrecy because he had discovered a valuable ore in his field. But he also discovered there were 2 larger deposits on either side of his field, which naturally belonged to his neighbors. He wanted to mine this ore, sell it, and use the money to buy neighbors' lands. They erected a hydraulic press for this purpose and had been working on their own deposit of the ore. But now the press had gone out of order and they did not know how to fix it. They needed the advice of a hydraulic engineer. He asked me to come at night because if his neighbors knew what was going on, they would most certainly refuse to sell their lands. My patient then asked the man what was the use of hydraulic press extracting fuller's earth, which is dug out, and gravel from the pit. The man replied that they had their own process. They compress the earth into bricks so that when they are removed, no one knows what they actually are. The money he was offering was a lot, and as you know, I was needy. So I agreed at that night and left for my client's house. I was a bit uneasy about all this. On one hand was the money he had offered me. It was a huge sum, and I would not have asked the amount myself. On the other hand, the manner of the man was putting me off. I did not understand the explanation that he gave me about compressing the earth into bricks. I was alone in the train, and when I reached Ayford, the platform was deserted. However, soon I saw the colonel who had come to me in the morning. He led us to the carriage, and we walked on our way. 1 horse or 2? Sherlock was still interrupting the engineer. 1, he said. And what was the color of the horse? Sherlock asked. It was chestnut, dried or fresh. It looked quite fresh and glossy, he said. I'm sorry that I interrupted you. Please continue your incredibly interesting statement, Sherlock asked. My client, I rode on the carriage for a long time. He told me that our destination was only 7 miles. But the speed at which we travelled, the time it took us to reach there suggested we travelled at least 12 miles. The colonel was very silent throughout the entire journey. At last we arrived. He took me to a room and asked me to wait, and left. I humid a tone and walked about to pass the time. Then suddenly a woman burst into the room. She was wearing clothes made up of rich material. She looked at me and in broken English asked me to leave. She urged me to go before it was too late, but naturally I ignored her. She seemed like a lunatic to me. The man said. He told us that the colonel returned with his manager and took him to see the machine. It was a gigantic hydraulic press. Although it was working, its owner said that it had lost its force. Since my patient was very experienced in his profession, he understood very soon that the fault was in the water containers. There was a leakage. I had ignored the warning of the lady, but I was still vigilant. I told them everything I needed to know on how to fix the machine, and then quickly kneeled down to inspect the floor. As I was quite sure that I had been lied to about the purpose of the machine, but the colonel did not take my inspection politely. He quickly turned around and locked me inside the hydraulic press chamber and turned on the machine. Now, with a stroke of luck one, I was able to escape, as the walls were made up of wood and it wasn't hard to break through. I saw the woman who had warned me earlier, and this time I obediently followed her when she asked me to do so. So that's it for part 2 of chapter 9, the adventure of the engineer's thumb, from the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. That's it for this video. See you in the next video. Bye.